I could hone it in and do something specifically about fashion, which is how I even got into this. I've been collecting for different pieces, specifically from the 20s and 30s for, man, probably like 7, 8 years now. It started as a little like, oh, this is fun. And now it's a really expensive hobby. And I'm always, even if I can't wear them, even if their life, is over, it's still nice to just open up, look at, and put it back in my box. So um, it is something I'm passionate about, and it's something that, as I was doing some research, because we're going to do a little history lesson today, and then talk about why it's important. As I was doing this research, I got like reinvigorated. My passions, I could feel them again when it came to fashion, because with the Art Deco Society, we're doing events all the time that engage people into historic spaces like this one, and really connect people with a whole era that may as well be forgotten if we don't, revive it. And that's really, I love it. It's also time consuming, and you're planning and everything. So to take a beat and to get back to my roots and research and fall in love all over again was really special. So I'm happy to be here and talking about this. And we got a lot to get through, so I'll make it as fast as I can. Because there's this big question: what is Art Deco? For anybody who might know a little bit, might not, might know everything. This era of the 20s and 30s, it was sandwiched in between two world wars. So a lot of evolution happened with the Art Deco era. But overall, it was defined with bold colors, bold geometric lines, symmetry. And what really makes it special is that this geometric, forward moving design wasn't just for fashion. It wasn't just for painting. It was for advertisements and cars and architecture. Chrysler Building, probably the most well known in New York. It was even seen in dancing, the lines that were made, doing the Charleston, and even just the spirit of Art Deco being this very modern era was expressed through not just visual arts. So I like to say it's not just an aesthetic, it's not just a style, it's a cultural movement. I like this picture on your far right. It has a lot of great motifs in it, and those rich golds, those fans motifs. It kind of waterfalls down, something that we see a lot, specifically in architecture. So yeah, it was definitely something never seen before. It was man-made, and then it was started. 1925 was the Paris Exposition. So we're celebrating 100 years of Art Deco this year, which is very fitting. And at the Paris Exposition, 20 countries were invited. 20 countries accepted the invitation to come to Paris and show them what they got. The rules were, all you can do is modern design. We don't want any traditional aesthetics in here. We want to see what the next chapter is. And it did get pushed from 1917 to 1925 due to the war. So Art Deco is kind of already happening. So we have this great this great point in time where we can say this was it. This was the debut, the world stage. And the United States didn't show up. They thought they didn't have anything to contribute, but they did attend, and they took those ideas back. And we have what we call Roaring Twenties that really, America, the United States, really took hold of Art Deco, and kind of made it what it is today. So context is important when we're talking about anything. And so specifically in the United States, we have some post-war optimism. Americans are really good at optimism, and that kind of drove, this modernity. The Industrial Revolution had happened. We're producing things at an extremely high level. Manufacturing expansion, women's liberation was really big. So women were in the workforce, and they were making decisions, and their skirts were shorter. And we have the era of the flapper. Technology was big. Phones, radio, the way that we were communicating and advertising. People were kind of bombarded by media for the first time, not just the rich people, but also our middle class. The economy was doing really well in the 1920s until it wasn't. And then media and arts were affected. And this one on the bottom, travel, is going to be the biggest one we're going to hit on, which I guess goes with technology. But travel was becoming more widespread. It was still expensive, but more people were traveling and more people were getting different ideas from different places. And that is why Art Deco is the mother of the revival. Um, 1925, they say anything, it's got to be thoroughly modern. That's hard to do. If anybody's tried to make something new, it's really like, it's almost like you can't, because everything, when you look at things, they come from something else. And, when I look at my wardrobe, I see so many different cultures, so many eras, so many different inspirations that make up just one piece, one garment. So was it modern? Yes, it was. But just in a different sense than I think other people think, because, we have something that's never been seen before. But it all took from different cultures and different places. And I think we have the Paris Exposition to thank for that. It's a little ironic. All right. So the mother of revival, and we're going to talk about fashion specifically. There was revival architecture, cars, like anything design, you see all these revivals. Maybe the most common you might think of is like the Egyptian revival. That was really big in the 1920s. And revivals were happening, or you can call it inspiration too, forever. Greek were inspired, it didn't just come out of thin air. So here I have just a few examples of what we'll be talking about today. We're going to specifically be talking about women's clothing. And these are just some great examples of different cultures showcased through fashion. And we can't talk about this without talking about Paul Poiret, French designer, fashion, king of fashion is maybe what he called himself, and others. But he was a really big deal pre-1920s. So 1910s, he gets hired ballet, the Russian ballet, which was in France, to make costumes. And Paul Poiret was really inspired by, I'm going to use the term exoticism, things overseas. And not only was he inspired by them, maybe took them and didn't credit people and made up this whole fantasy about a whole culture, which we could call now cultural appropriation. And I think that's something that we all just need to admit about the 1920s, is that there was a lot of racism going on, and you can really see it in the fashion of the era. And knowing that context, we can still look at these garments and say, oh my God, that is amazing that you took these little pieces and made something so very beautiful, especially now that we can recognize where it comes from. So Paul Poiret was really known for taking away the corset, and he wanted just a nice soft frame so that he was able to drape and make different lines. This lampshade skirt, that first one you see, was a big deal of his. Obviously, nobody can wear that out, but he did a lot of costume work. So he really took that travel and discovery and made this story and marketed it to the people. He was very good at advertising. And so this was the first time that these exotic fashions were given to the public. And it sparked a lot of inspiration for other people. And what we're going to do is we're going to travel the world a little bit, and I'm just going to show you some comparisons from different places, different cultures, and how they translated into fashion in this era. So I don't know why I call this Mediterranean. It's really ancient Greek. The drapery, the lines. A lot of Art Deco is about lines and about looking up and having this nice vertical shape and things just draping off the body. And so the early 1920s, late 1910s, we saw a lot of this, a lot of soft forms. The chiton right here, it was a sport garment. You can even see it, getting a little short, and so we see that a lot in 1920s dresses for women. Russia, this was an interesting one. This peasant shirt or peasant blouse, these asymmetrical buttons on the side, definitely drawing inspiration. And the fur trade was really big in the 1920s, because what's a flapper without her big fur coat? So that was, definitely straight from Russia, importing exquisite furs into the States, other places in Europe. Africa. Um, this was an amazing little ad that I found. It's a mud cloth is what they use in African tribes, and you can see the patterns. This is a textile inspiration. Um, Definitely the turban from here, and some Middle Eastern influences as well. I put a picture of Josephine Baker because, and if you don't know who Josephine Baker is, she is a very famous dancer from the 1920s, actress, singer, goddess. She is so amazing. And she was a spy in World War II, so it makes her a certified badass. Sorry. But I put a picture of it here because this is her famous banana skirt, and she did this. It was an awesome dance, but it was called Dance Sauvage, Savage Dance. She was French, and it kind of opens up the conversation of how Black people and other people of color at the time were subject to this romanticization and this at the same time, and they wanted this spirit of the era or the spirit of the culture. But then, it's the 20s and they were extremely racist and bigoted about it. So, but it also gave her a platform. And now we talk about her to this day. And she was fabulous. And she owned it and she made it a statement for African American people at the time. Indigenous tribes. Can't talk about fringe without talking about that. The fringe that you might see on like Amazon dresses, like little Gatsby dresses, wasn't really happening in the 1920s. It instead took this form. I guess I'm wearing one too. It's a little wispy, right? The silk chiffon that you can see in these beautiful women right here, and also just strips of fabric creating fringe, which was perfect to do the Charleston, showing your legs. I'll get 2 slides because this is a great example of when inspiration becomes a phenomenon. 1922, pink tattoo was discovered, and the world went insane. Specifically, the United States, specifically the United States, and in return, everything ended up having this Egyptian motif on it. These are just some examples. You have beaded dress. The headdress thing was really big. You might see flappers wearing their little, headbands. Definitely a reflection of ancient Egypt. Even just the geometric patterns. Like it's not always, when we see these revival fashion things, it's usually not just a big costume. It's just little elements. So I really like that day dress shirt. The jewelry, big deal because they were discovering a lot of that tattoos. Beautiful dress and beadwork, big in Egypt. So we have aprons, dresses, things like that really inspired those heavily beaded silk dresses. And I love these pictures on the right because these aprons were tied in a very specific way in ancient Syria as well. And you can just, it's so noticeable to me when I look at this woman in the blue dress with her apron. And even just the cut of this dress right here, this, bunching of fabrics, and it creates the drop waist, which was really popular at the time. And that shade of green is called Nile green. Just another fascination with the. We'll touch on East as well. Silk trade, really big. Brought a lot of those really great silks that we see. Kimonos made a huge comeback. They were existing at the same time, but white people were discovering them for the first time. So would you call that a revival? I don't know. But still a big deal. And there's that purple dress that we saw in the beginning. It has some really intricate geometric designs, reminiscent, I would assume, of Chinese characters. And then at the top there, just another example of textile. So in shape, in textile, in material, a lot of people at the time have that inspiration. So many different things, especially in cultures. And then just one more photo of how crazy it kind of got. Movies took it to the extreme. Things like the Queen of Sheba and the Sheep were definitely making caricatures of those movements. And then advertisers, man, I love Josephine Baker. I put her in here like 3 times. But this advertisement says you couldn't buy it at the drugstore 3,000 years ago. And look at her. And she has the whole Egyptian headdress and everything. I love the photo on the right. It's a gas station. And when I say phenomenon, it was a phenomenon. Um, it was Egyptomania. They had it in the paper to say they were doing. So definitely capitalizing on these types of things with the media. But regardless, taking into all those contexts, all that information, the biggest thing is that it was Art Deco. All of these different cultures, all these different styles, or just like, inspirations made this one beautiful thing that sometimes it's hard to define, right? Like you can define it with geometry and stuff. When you get into fashion, it gets a little grayer. And of course, it's up to you how you feel about it. But it was just this movement. There was nothing like it before, and I love the irony of this modernity with these traditional elements. So why does it matter? Well, what did they do wrong? They didn't understand what they were reviving all the time. Sometimes they did. Cultures were constant victims of racism. The messaging gets a little funky, gets a little stereotypical. Sometimes they weren't crediting where credit was due. But what they were doing right was experimenting, and that was the biggest thing in the 1920s. Is everything was so new. The way we were communicating was new, and sharing ideas and using all these new man-made materials to build things. Skyscrapers were happening. That hadn't happened before. There was a lot going on in different aspects of art. So experimenting, they were morphing ideas into their own or adding upon them, and they were making it accessible. There were still huge class divides, but like never before, people were able to either afford these things or at least like admire them or witness them, whether they were buildings in their neighborhood or a fashion magazine. And you went from this to this as a result of that. This woman on the left is a very classic Edwardian silhouette, and the woman on the right is Louise Brooks, famous film actress. There was a cultural shift here. You can just see it in the way they look. You can see it in what they're wearing. And it was something we have to remember here is that it's about, to revive something correctly, it's about thought and honoring something and understanding it to a degree in which you can actually like make it something new and it makes sense and people will have a feeling about it. And I think when I started the Art Deco Society, I had a big issue because I love 1920s and I wanted to recreate it. I wanted to copy and paste it. And that didn't work because you're not going to evoke the same feelings as you did in that era with just copying and pasting something now. And it's not going to resonate like you want it to, and maybe it'll fall short, or there's not enough education. Like there's so many different factors that just didn't make it right. And so I learned early on that it was about creating something that was alive and something that people could join in on and kind of feel like they can, take it and run with it, and they can make it their own and make it this community. And I'll never forget, we did an event at the San Carlos Hotel, and they have a ballroom that's not usually used as much. And this hotel is from 1928. We did this cocktail event, historic cocktails, jazz, people were dancing, and it was all, I try to make it as, immersive as possible. And my friend Roger comes in and he's like, this is it. He's like, this is living Art Deco. Feels alive. It feels like you're actually creating something new and not just copying something from the past without that context. This is just appreciation for 1930s. We didn't talk about it today, but it did change. And then I guess I won't go into too much depth about this, but it's not. These are some pictures from Phoenix, because Phoenix has Art Deco, and I think not a lot of people know about it. And my goal is always to get people into these buildings or into the clothes or doing the dances and stuff, because it gives you firsthand like memory. It almost gives you like memories about it that you didn't have, because I think an enemy and a partner to revival is nostalgia. It can kind of kill whatever you're doing, or it can really add to it. So it's like this very fine line. And I love giving tours and I love doing these events because it makes people feel like they are a part of this living art. That's what I got for you today. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Was that enough time? I didn't look at the time at all.
You gotta really skedaddle in 15. So we got a solid 5 minutes for Q&A. Does that work for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to ask questions, I just don't want to go over your time. I know you have a schedule. So.
No, it's okay. So as usual, you have to endure my heady intellect first. Then we get to the hoi polloi here.
Okay.
I remember not that long ago when that Great Gatsby movie came out, the one with the Jay-Z soundtrack.
Fergie.
Like the Leonardo DiCaprio, was that 2016, something like that? It wasn't that long ago. And everyone in New York was having quote unquote Gatsby parties.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys, you missed the part of the book where everyone is like superficial and vapid. Like you're just aping the aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that has merit of its own, but it was kind of funny that you skip the part where it's like Daisy and Jay were careless people, and it's like that's an insult. You know what I'm saying? So are we seeing now, at least in fashion, where people are taking the ideas, we're rediscovering ancient wisdom, natural materials, maybe even ways to reuse existing materials so it's less wasteful, like copying and reviving the ideas, not so much just opening the old closet and be like, this is 100 years old, let's do it.
Like, do I see it now?
Yeah.
Like in culture?
Like, what are you seeing?
Well, we've been having a conversation about thrifting. Right? That's been really big, like with younger people. I don't know if this answers your question, but I think that kind of counterculture of we're fed so much fast fashion that I can get on a soapbox about it. But I think that there is starting to be this rebellion against it, which I love to see. And people actually taking, and they don't have to be antique clothes from the 20s. It can just be like a nice vintage dress from, the 60s or the 70s. Oh my God, that's now vintage. But I think there's a big movement with that, and I love to see it. And I used to be a huge purist. Like I would come up with outfits that even like the undergarments were correct. Like I got them from eBay, and I'm like, nobody knows I'm wearing a 1910s corset, but I am. Oh my God. I still love doing it because it's like a creative project and I get to like research and stuff. But I started feeling like really negative when I would see somebody wearing they'd be wearing like a 60s hat and then they'd be wearing like modern clothes, or they would be mixing decades.
Anachronisms.
Yes. I'm like, you can't do that. That's not how it was. Oh my God. And like, you have to stop yourself. And so once I switched from being like, people are allowed to like express themselves, number one, however they want. And it's giving those clothes a second life. And that's what really matters, no matter how it's used or how you're expressing yourself, even if you're just having it on like a shelf. But if you have like a vintage hat and you're like, people don't wear any hats anymore, wear it because it's really worth it. So,
there you go. That's a thoroughly modern idea.
Yeah.
Uncorseting your beliefs.
Yes.
Okay, I think we can run around the room for just a few minutes with the Q&A. I have the mic here so the folks on the stream can hear you. And folks on the stream, if you have a question as well, Hillary can read it from the chat room. Okay, does anyone have a question?
Oh, so thorough.
Oh, okay.
I loved one of the last things that you said. An enemy and partner to revival is nostalgia. Can you expand on that a little bit more and tell us your thoughts on what the meaning of that is?
Yes, but I might ramble a little bit. The enemy, wow, who said that? Yeah, she was so deep at that moment. I was really feeling it. I think nostalgia helps us save things. I'm also involved in some historic preservation efforts of like buildings, and the community advocacy that I see with that's really effective for just getting people like engaged and being able to like write a letter to the city or something is having this this feeling of nostalgia. It's bringing back something. You hear stories about, oh, I lived in that house, or my grandparents lived in that house. That's worth saving. Same thing with clothes and cars. You have these memories, or maybe made up memories. Maybe you never really had the nostalgia to begin with, but it evokes that feeling. And so I think that's really motivating in revival. But it can be so motivating to the point where you become like I was, where oh, but the house, they're adding something to the inside of it and I can't handle it. And that is where the enemy comes in. And I think it's a balance in keeping that in check to truly like give something another life so other people can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Did that answer? Okay.
Okay, thanks. And don't forget, nostalgia itself is a revival because it wasn't diagnosed until the First World War, but it comes from the Odyssey. And so that's a whole different story.
It's another lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, Prescott? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
To the point of balance, upon like hearing a lot of this, like, and I have nostalgia, but one thing I noticed is that I was 40. So how do you balance that? Like, because like for me, I'm like, I also
You let me know, man. I don't know.
I'm on this path to like minimalism, but not true, but just being minimal. Same thing, no fast fashion if possible. Of course, I'll have, but yeah, like there just seems to be this path toward hoarding when we start to like
not letting go.
Yeah. Any thoughts there?
I don't know. I don't consider myself a hoarder, but I've got multiple closets, so I think that's already like a red flag. But I think it's about prioritizing. And I'm coming from like a collector point of view where, especially if they're things that matter to you and you feel like you're hoarding them, finding new homes where they're appreciated is kind of like my thing now. And not even just selling them or something. If I think of somebody, when I think of this chair, I gave it to her and I'm like, I don't have room for this chair. Please take it. And I know that's being loved. I do not know how to combat it. I do not know. I say yes to everything. And being the 1920s girl, a lot of people will be like, hey, I found this vintage chain link purse I thought you might like. It was in my closet. And it's like all broken and they just give it to me. And I'm like, great, I'll put it with the pile of my other stuff. So I need to figure out how to combat that. But I think it's about like prioritizing, which kind of sucks, or getting another house.
Well, the good news is we're about to have another Great Depression, so all that stuff is going to become like.
Great, save your stuff.
Sorry, I didn't see who came up first.
But I just think gifting is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And finding the next generation to give it to, and to spark something in them that they start to value it. Because how many things do we really need? And as I get older in my life, I'm a collector too. Yeah. And as I get older in my life, I'm starting to assess, like, okay, I've gotten all the value I can out of this. Yeah. It's time to pass it on and let somebody else enjoy it in a living context rather than it being in a box in my closet. 100%. So it's very gratifying to see those things being used and appreciated. It gives new life, and it spreads the joy.
That's what it's about. Yeah, I love it.
Revival, new life, relight.
I was just wondering if you can show us the items that you brought.
Oh, yes. I could have brought so much more. This is actually a really good example of an Egyptian revival shawl. If you can see this, it's got some great motifs on the bottom of it, all hand sewn, which is fabulous and makes me scared wearing it sometimes. But this is a hat, an evening hat made of lame fabric. So it's a metallic thread and it's got some velvet flower appliques on it. This I also brought because this whole shape right here is very of the era, very flapper, very 20s. And it gives me some Egypt vibes as well. You saw that headdress that had that beautiful rhinestone and the fringe. I love vintage shoes. They're so small. These are bedroom slippers. So a lot of the silk shoes that you see might be bedroom slippers. It's true. You wear them with a robe. Because women were wearing heels all the time. These also could have been dance shoes. A lot of those silk ones you see are one of those. Beautiful floral design, again, in a gold. I love metallics. They're my favorite. And this one I got because I've never worn it. This is a great early 1920s dress, and I just love the pleats on it. It's got some beautiful beadwork. This is an example of one. Sorry, my arms only reach so high. This is a beautiful example of one that came to me kind of destroyed. There were these beautiful sleeves on it, and I had to take them off. And this was at a moment where it really hurt me to do so, but I had to alter it just so that I could enjoy it for a longer amount of time. This one's probably going to a new home at some point. So, but yeah, all silk in really great condition too. So, and yes, if you do have a grandmother or a great grandmother who's getting rid of clothes, you can always call me. I know I just said that I'm trying to get rid of stuff, but I mean, come on.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, I think we have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Okay, someone has to take a motor car to an aeroplane. And
Aeroplane.
yeah.
I
So-
know.
So thank you for your thoroughly modern advice on
welcome.
ancient wisdom.
Yes.
And we'll keep it going. So Erin has,
Awesome.
oh.
Oh, that's a great question. You can look us up online. We have a whole calendar, Phoenix Art Deco Society, phoenixartdeco.org. We just finished an event inside the Lord's Tower, which is this high rise.
We've got a slide coming up.
Oh, great. Awesome. The last day to see it is tomorrow. So it's beautiful photography of high rises from around the world, specifically Southwestern inspired Art Deco building. So revival. Pueblo Deco is what they call it. And then a whole exhibit about the family that built the Lord's Tower in the 1920s and their legacy. They're a pioneer family that came over. So if you're interested in Phoenix, history, art, hanging out, we're doing that. And then we're having a little break in the summer. And then we're going to do a little book club about the Great Gatsby, which is also celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. So
All right. We have a party like it's 1929.
every day.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah. More of that later. Yeah. Okay. Erin's going to clear up, and I'm going to keep going here, and we're going to have a little hard burn until approximately 10. Okay? So, cool. Hi, welcome. Let's revive the beginning of this presentation. That's out the window. Is anyone here for the first time? Okay, so you've sort of just experienced half of what Creative Mornings is. I don't have to preface it, but this happens all over the world. 248 chapters globally, and they actually added a few in the past month or two, mostly in Latin America, which is really crazy. 70 countries, more than 20,000 people each month, lots of talks, almost 13,000 or 12,500 videos online that you can watch previously, and racking up those view counts, you know, those sponsor things. Let's give some thanks real quick to the global sponsor of all of Creative Mornings, which is Adobe. Anyone here use Adobe products? I think so, yeah. No, mixed feelings. Wait till it's Microsoft. I'll be like, Microsoft is it? No. Adobe has become the global partner for Creative Mornings a few months ago, which is, you know, really remarkable. Just that they're getting involved in an organization like this. But what's cool is we're already seeing, and here this is I don't know if this is going to play because it's Keynote and not PowerPoint. It's a little slideshow. There you go, of some places around the world that have featured the Adobe slide and sort of talking about what they're doing. But where the rubber meets the road, Adobe is now sponsoring I'm going to fast forward. I think we talked about that last time. There is a new series on the Creative Mornings blog called Level Up, and it's a ongoing series of webinars essentially about creative professionalism, about skills, about all these other topics, sponsored by Adobe. And we'll have a link to that. We'll send it to you. But this is cool because they're bringing together experts. They're talking about important topics to creative professionals. And there was one a couple weeks ago called Job Search at the End of the World. And I was like, that's very timely, like, you know, because it does kind of feel very chaotic. But there's also one about, you know, specifically about writing an about page for your website or building your LinkedIn profile and things like that. So that's coming up from Adobe, which is very cool. So thank you to them. We also thank our local sponsors. So AIGA Arizona is an ongoing local sponsor. Anyone here remember? I'm a member, a couple people. Got some folks over there who are going to speak to us in a minute or two, right? Put you on the spot. So thank you to AIGA for ongoing breakfast and coffee and moral support. And this week, we also have Hello Creative Solutions, which is Erica. And so thank you to Erica for helping out. Do you want to introduce your company and sort of what you do? Because that's the funny thing. We come here, we say hello. We don't necessarily talk about our work. You come on this side of the mic just for a hot second. Oh, there you go.
Hello. I offer design and layout. My primary focus of design, so documents and PowerPoint presentations and things like that. But I want to take a moment to shout out the opportunities to be a sponsor of a Creative Mornings event. I helped pay for the breakfast here today. Thank you so much to the Newton for having us. But this is to buy some pastries for your fellow creatives and promote your own business is a really low-cost way to get your name out there. So definitely recommend that you check it out. And I'm also a volunteer with Creative Mornings, and we would greatly appreciate it to be able to supplement what AIGA offers us on an ongoing basis. Feed the room.
Yes.
So consider it and see this guy.
Yeah.
If you would like to sponsor as well.
Thank you. You can put it right there. Yeah. And thank you to our venue, the Newton. And the Newton has like 7 businesses inside of it. Anna, do you want to come and say a few things about the building and maybe even about the revival theme at work here, if you know it off the top of your head?
I do know it off the top of my head. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm the event coordinator here at the Newton. I manage both private events and I work with the Changing Hands Bookstore that's housed inside the Newton to help create community programming here. So a little bit about this building. The Newton used to be the Beef Eaters restaurant. It was here from 1961 until about 2006. And then it stood vacant for almost 8 years. And then Venue Projects LLC, which actually owns the Newton, and John Douglas Architects decided to take on this hefty project of transforming the space into what it is today, which is a mixed-use venue that also has rental spaces. And then we have a handful of tenants. So we have Changing Hands Bookstore, which has been a staple in the Valley here for about 51 years. We actually just had our 51st anniversary in this building since we opened 11 years ago. It opened on April 1st, 1974 on April Fool's Day, and then they fooled us all by staying here for 51 years. Yeah. And they actually have 2 locations now. So their OG location is no more, but they do have a location in Tempe off South McClintock Drive, and they have a location here inside the Newton. Other tenants here in the building, we have First Draft Book Bar, which is really cheeky because we're in a bookstore, it's a bar, and they're here. People congregate at this space for private events, for meetups like these. We have people that have that connection with the building. Like we've done celebrations of life for people who were kids here and went to Beef Eaters restaurants, or who had their wedding reception at Beef Eaters, but having their 75th birthday party here at the Newton. So it's really special to work here and see all those like circular moments come together and see the revival of the space. Like you might notice the walls are decked in art. So this is actually like a living curative space where like on a quarterly basis, we have new art on the walls. So it's a really special place to be. And then if you have a board meeting or you have like a lecture series that you want to give, you can actually rent out the space to do that kind of thing. Also, we have Soda over here, which is one of our in-house restaurants in Toasted Owl. Soda is part of the restaurant group that includes Gallo Blanco and Otro Cafe. So if you know them, they're the ownership next door. Toasted Owl is also a local business that's based out of Flagstaff, and they have 2 locations there. And then since this is a gathering of creatives, I'd be remiss not to mention that we do creative workshops here on a monthly basis. So if you follow Changing Hands Bookstore's Instagram, the Newton, sign up for their newsletter. You'll learn all about the different workshops that we do. On the second Friday of each month, we do crafts and drafts. So it's a low cost, like less than $10, usually like $5 a ticket. You meet in here, you meet members of your community, unwind at the end of the long week and do crafts together. We do bookbinding, embroidery, like all sorts of things. We have a poetry writing prompt night. So just a bunch of creative things that you can join here, like the poetry night's free. So if you want to stay on top of it, just sign up for the newsletter, follow us on socials, and you'll see what's going on at the Noon.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And Crafts and Drafts is a great name. We got to get them together with Drink and Draw. I mean, this is synergy. Okay, and the last one, I put this in here. This is fresh. Thank you to our volunteers. So I revived or redesigned the slide here. The Creative Mornings, this chapter is all run by volunteers, and not just me, but the gang here: Jen, Claudia, Raquel, Madison, Erica, Hillary, Glenn, and Heidi. So if you see us here, I think all of us are here except Claudia and Glenn, right? Raise your hand if you haven't. Say hello to these people. We're all very friendly, and we're all volunteers, and we're busting our butt. I mean, I am in awe of this team that can put this together. I certainly could not do it myself. Fortunately, I don't have to. Hold that thought. Now, Creative Mornings is it, like I said, it's a global organization, not a cult. We were talking about Andrew or Frank Lloyd Wright. I almost said Andrew Lloyd Webber. That might be a cult. No, you know why? Because when I was making this last night, speaking of revival, I was looking at this and I was reading it and I was like, this sounds like the Kit Kat Club. I'm like, Frenchie, Fritzy, and Helga. You know, do you remember that one? So that's like an Art Deco. That's from the show Cabaret. And when I learned about that, it was from the revival of the 1998 Broadway production with Alan Cumming as the MC. Do you remember this? No? And time for another revival. And so that show, trust me, if you know the theater, it's like you see the gang here. That theater, the Roundabout Theater Company, was in Studio 54 in New York, which itself was a revival of the infamous dance club from the 1970s. So there's lots of revival. That's why I was just thinking about it, and I see suddenly Andrew Lloyd Webber's in my head. So Creative Mornings has this thing called the manifesto, and we read it every day, usually at the beginning to kind of warm people up before the main talk, but we're going to do it now. So I want to invite Laura Lee up to the stage to read the manifesto. And you can operate. Oh, you have it on your phone? Oh, it's on screen as well. It's small, but
I should after all the years. Okay. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connection, in learning from others, in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
woo! That could just go ahead. Wait. So hold on. One more thing. Speaking of revival, we want to acknowledge and thank Laura Lee and Brian for your work managing the chapter and really reviving and resurrecting the Phoenix chapter from a dormant and abandoned state more than 5 years ago, and taking it on. Is it? Okay, Brian, you want to come up? And Hillary? And so these two set the stage for us, created some of these systems, brought back the Phoenix community, connected us with a ton of great spaces. Like we were here in 2022, could it be that long ago? And took us around town and really helped pass off the chapter to that group of volunteers that we just showed. So we want to thank you and acknowledge you, and Hillary has a gift for you. And what every parent of 2 children needs.
So if you know Laura Lee and Brian, you know they love their brews. They have a brewery tour. Ask them about it afterwards, tomorrow. So we thought it made sense to give them a little brewery tour of 6 different craft beers from around the world. I think it's just around the US, but anyway, 6 really cool beers for you guys as a thank you from your volunteer crew. You guys kicked ass, and our chapter wouldn't be what it is today if for you guys. So thank you. And that's it.
Okay. And once you're a little tipsy, take a photo and we'll post it to the Creative Mornings social media page. You know, The people in Bogota, Colombia could be like, hey, look at those knuckleheads. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, and you guys can pack up and do your thing. That's fine. No one's watching. So the theme of revival, again, we're kind of going backwards here. The theme of revival was chosen by our Fort Worth chapter, and believe it or not, Dallas has another chapter. So those two creative communities sort of alternate days, which is fun. Tucson has a chapter here, and they sometimes are not on the same day, so you could go to Tucson. Anyway, Revival was chosen. It was illustrated by, I think it was Mariel Guzman. And there was an article on the Creative Mornings blog if you're interested in the illustrator. And that's when we went and spoke to Erin Lindsey, and there's questions. Okay, now here's something we do called 30-second spotlight, and it's kind of our living classifieds, where we as a creative community, as a local community, put out these requests. And so this is where you have a chance to come right up here, front of the room, and say, hey, I've got a vacancy at my company. I'm looking for a job. I need help moving a couch. I've got kittens in my backyard that need to be adopted. Anything like this, the kind of requests and acknowledgement, and maybe we can put some hearts and minds together and make that happen. So does anyone, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, does anyone have something they want to come up here and talk about it? And while you're coming up, you can just hold the microphone real quick. But hold on, we have one first, which now Erica hinted on it, but I want to put this out here officially. From the chapter, we have our own 30-second pitch, which is that volunteers are always welcomed and wanted, and we would love to have your help. So anything you can imagine that this chapter can do more of or do better, come help us. So that's photography, videography, video editing, live streaming, social media, newsletters, check-ins, and breakfast. Heidi's taking care of that. Merch, we've had a lot of other chapters around the world have like a whole enterprise of mugs and shirts and all this stuff. Have some fun with it, absolutely. Marketing and just helping us get the word out and moving around, making connections. Sponsors, Erica talked about. This could be financial sponsors. It could be breakfast and coffee in kind, and it could be venues in kind as the host there at the bottom. So anything you're thinking of that you and your company and your neighbors can potentially team up with us, let us know. Come find one of us, or we're going to send a little wrap up. You can just reply to that email or find us on social as well. Really easy to get a hold of. Okay, let's move on to the other ones. So just
I feel you, Prescott. I know when you're running an organization and all volunteers.
Yeah. So real quick,
be in touch. Okay.
Real quick,
Um,
introduce yourself and then say what's working on, and then how can people get a hold of you as well.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Marcus Chavez. I'm a graphic designer, and right now I work at a commercial real estate company, and we are looking for a graphic designer. We have an opening that will happen June 6th, so we are actively looking. So if you're interested, please contact me as soon as I step down from here, meeting, and I can give you more information.
Okay. Do you work with Laura Lee by chance?
No, I don't.
Let's revive the theme.
I'm Laura Lee Barnum. Arcadia is also hiring graphic designers. So if you're in need of a full-time gig, let me know. And then I also got a message from someone who works at Adobe about one of their partners at PetSmart. And she said that they're hiring. If anyone would be interested, it's senior level contract designer to help with concepts and digital executions of those concepts, around 80 to 85 an hour. Full-time production artist, around 70 to 80K range. So it seems like two different positions. If you're interested in PetSmart, let me know. I can give you the contact and you can reach out to them via LinkedIn as well. So Arcadia, commercial real estate, graphic designer, and then PetSmart. I'll help you out.
Yeah. Wow, a lot of design jobs. The pendulum swinging back after 6 years. All right, Brian. And if anyone else
I'll make them
come up
quick.
after Brian here.
With donations too, you can do that through the AIG website. You go to sponsorships and you can do cash or in kind and submit it that way as well. So if you don't have a business and you're not sure how else to do it, that is one way that you can do it. And then brewery hop tomorrow, we'll be Sauna service area, and then we're gonna walk around the corner to Greenwood if you want to.
I'll say that again. What service area?
Sauna.
Sauna.
Sorry, Sauna service area. They're brand new. They've been open for like a month and a half. Yeah.
And that's on Roosevelt?
It's down near 3rd Street in Roosevelt, right by Greenwood Brewing, in that like there's that weird split if you drive south on 3rd Street.
And it's Saturday at
1 p.m.
okay. We're Saturday at 1 p.m.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Be there,
we're gonna
drink
we're
cold
gonna get this into a message,
Yeah.
but we want to make sure we got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So same thing. Just introduce yourself and
Hi,
say
I'm
what's up.
Mel. And Greenwood Brewery was great. If you haven't been, I met the owner.
Yeah,
She
Megan.
started in her garage. Megan just
Yeah.
started the group and loved beer. Anyway, my first time here. Thank you very much for this, putting it together and doing all that
Of course.
stuff. So I consult, and I've got a couple of different clients. One of my clients is a company called Brainiest.ai, and they're giving away for free. Anybody in this room who wants to use the Brainiest platform, it's an AI-powered marketing platform. Got 53 different things you can do. Everything from translation, transcription, create audio, create video, create images. So if you're using any kind of AI right now, what this has done is compiled 7 or 8, or maybe even more by the time we're talking, different engines, and built 53 LLMs, large language models, to create applets. So you don't have to really think. It's very guided. So it's kind of like having a marketing Sherpa on your shoulder as you build your marketing plans, marketing templates. Anyway, to reach me, Mitch.bell@brainiest.ai, Mitch.bell@brainiest.ai, or come see me and we'll set up a time. I'll walk you through it, give you an access code, and we want your feedback. And that's really the catch. Okay, so it's free to you guys and gals, but we want feedback. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. And we got 2 more. Okay. We got to make it snappy here.
I'll be quick.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just inviting you to party. My name is Melissa Farley, and we are hosting a 602 Day celebration on the 11th floor of the Arizona Center. We partnered with the Cultural Coalition, so there's going to be like 30 plus local vendors. There's going to be a live DJ, local performances, all sorts of really cool stuff, history tours, because there's 360 views of the whole city. It's totally free. It's our first one, and I'm kind of one of those people that feels like nobody's going to come to my party, so come and make me feel better and have a good time and celebrate Phoenix. So what so you can find details on our Instagram, on themorningshow.com. I guess that's my website, but it's also on The Morning Show on Instagram. But it's 602 Day, which is June 2nd. It's a Monday. It is from 5 to 9 p.m. and it's totally free. You can just show up at 400 East Van Buren and take the elevator up to the 11th floor, and that's where we'll be. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I think this will be the last one.
Hi, I'm Katie. This is more of a personal thing. I'm looking for a roommate. I live in North Central. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. You'd have your own room, your own bathroom. Super cool screen and porch. It's like an Arizona room. So, yeah, if you're interested or know someone who's interested, I'll be around. I don't have any pets, but I love dogs. So, yeah.
That's always important.
And it's right across from Oso. I go there frequently. So, yeah.
Okay. And how should we get in touch with you?
I'll be around after. If you're
Okay.
interested.
You could give Erica your email and we can put that in the show notes as well. Whatever we're calling this thing. Okay, let's keep moving. We have a few minutes left. Have you seen our website lately? I always mention this, the Creative Mornings website. If you go to the talks area, you can watch all the videos, not just from the Phoenix chapter, but around the world. And there's some good ones. And what's also fun is seeing like the enviable venues around the world. You watch these videos from like Prague and Vienna and Paris, and you're just like, I want to go there. Honolulu, they do such a good job. So watch some of these videos, get some ideas as well. And if you're into video editing, you should watch those as well, because that's other people in the creative industry like experimenting, doing motion graphics, doing editing and sound. Right? Check it out. We also have the newsletter on the website, and you can sign up for the Phoenix chapter specific newsletter, and that's the only thing that we'll send. So Creative Mornings is not a spam organization. We're not going to send you all this junk for life insurance and whatever else, right? It is just the Phoenix chapter if that's all you want. If you want to get Tucson as well, if you want the global news as well, you could sign up for it all there. Okay? Coming up around town. So Erin mentioned that this is the final weekend for the Lurs Legacy Southwest Art Deco. It is essentially a photo gallery exhibition, and it's right downtown at the Lures Tower. I don't have the address there. It's it's really easy to get to. I mean, it's right by the light rail. It's Jefferson. Jefferson. Yeah, it's right by the light rail on Jefferson. And there's a code to save $5. So general admission $15. Essentially a donation to everyone that's helping put it on. Like no one's getting minted off that. But there is a code that'll be in the wrap-up email to save $5 on the last day. That's coming up tonight and tomorrow. Creative Pro Week is coming up on Monday. Last chance, if you have some budget and you want to get some training, this is happening down at the Sheridan White Horse Pass. And it's also broadcast online. So if you go back to your office and be like, hey, boss, I need to sign up for this right now, I think you can still sign up. It's coming next week. We also have Phoenix Design Week. Now, this is not next week. It's coming up in September. Woo! But the early bird is expiring. Molly, do you want to say something about Phoenix Design Week? No, that's okay, but I'm just putting you on the spot here.
Phoenix Design Week this year's theme is rooted. I did not purposefully wear green, but we are really excited, and we have a full lineup of main stage speakers ready to go. Some great names from the industry, and then yeah, it's happening on a Friday and Saturday this year. Friday morning, we're also going to be offering add-on workshops. A lot of the feedback has been around more tactical hands-on experience. So we're excited to bring those to you all. And then there will be a whole week of events afterwards. If you're interested in hosting a community event or an AIDA event, talk to Corey. And then, yeah, early bird pricing on tomorrow. So if you register before midnight tomorrow night, you'll get these lovely prices. Lowest it'll go. So first 100.
Tomorrow or 100 tickets, whichever.
Tomorrow or 100 tickets get a free T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, great.
Okay.
Erica's already registered.
Thank you. The Creative Mornings will be at the end of that week. September, is it written there? 26th. It'll be Friday morning, September 26th. We're already planning for it.
Saturday this year? Yeah, okay.
The conference, the main conference, yeah.
Yes, we want to have their samples back.
Okay, our next meeting is coming up next month. Joseph Jafari on the topic of punk. And that's coming up June 27th, and we're going to be at Dialogue, which is downtown. That's where we had our AIGA event a couple weeks ago. So some of you were there. That's going to be a fun one. And see, this is where things go together because real quick, during the Dust Bowl, they didn't have access to the Art Deco stylings. It was an urban style. It was manufactured. It was sort of electric and precision and machine style. But in the hinterlands, they were still using steam trains. They were still in the Victorian era. This kind of clunky reusing of things. And of course, it was very impoverished. So that's where they developed what we now call farm punk aesthetic, which combines a very DIY 1930s era fabrics, clothing, and repurposed machinery, carpentry. It's really cool. And then in the cities, at the same time, they were doing what we now call electropunk. And that's a whole different kind of punk. There's a lot to explore. Join us next month. And our second motto, as you join us next month, is bring a friend and make a friend. Also tell a friend if you can't come yourself. Okay? And I think that's going to do it for now. We have a few more minutes to get some bagels, coffee, etc., and say hello to us. Heidi, you look like something's on your mind. No? Okay. All right, and with that, we'll close. So thank you. Have a great day. What? Sorry, I missed it.